difficult to say. Of course, like the offensive player, they got judged like by making goals or making assists, and he make like a goal today. He had like great performance, but again, I think it's repetition for you. But for me, it's very important how they defend the offensive players and how they work against the ball. If they do like the last step in the personal choose, and that's why it was maybe a change for him, how he should play against the ball. But we see it in the whole preseason that he has a quality that can help us. And in the end, I don't know. We will see where it will end. You know, he has a big potential to have like a big impact in the best league in the world. And he can score out of nowhere. He can make an assist out of nowhere when the game is equal. And that's why I'm really looking forward to see the next steps from him. But I don't know how far he is already in his development. A lot of games from Brighton, especially the last 2 or 3 years, and he was always like an outstanding player. And now I get to know him like in person, you know, in real life. I get to know what his needs are, what his wishes are, what his motivations are. It's, I think, very important. On the one side, you always see the player performing at the weekend, but it's important to see the person behind the player. And he's a great person. He's like very humble. He always tries to improve, and that's why I'm very happy to work with him. And I also understand now why he had like this development in the last years. And we try, and that's also, I said it to him, like my job, the only thing I want is to make him better and to help him to make the next step in his development. And that's the job from me, from Crofty, from my assistant coaches, from the whole staff, to give him this environment that he can get better. And then I'm looking forward.
You haven't had Karim Matoma since February of last year. How much does he enhance this team and indeed the Premier League?
Yeah, he's he's a special talent, and with the performances, we all know the ability that he's got. 1v1, there's not many better than him in the Premier League. So it's great to have him back. He scored a great goal. I think it was great from Yankuba down the right, and great cross, and Karoo was there to finish it off. But yeah, it's great to have Karoo back in and add to the firepower that we've got going forward.
And then let's talk about Matoma as well. We've got to give him his flowers, because for me, he felt like a new signing. Obviously, we missed him big parts of last season. And I think going into this season, just based off yesterday, him and Minter are going to be an absolute problem, like down those wings.
Let's not forget Welbeck as well, by the way, in the middle.
Yeah. No.
that MWM. Forget Messi, Neymar, Suarez, mate. We've got a new factory.
In terms of Matoma's impact, I thought he was brilliant yesterday. And how refreshing is it to see him back and playing to the level we know he can be?
That's it, like, get us back to that level and you can really see it. Like, I think we saw that dip off a little bit last season. Obviously, like, he was struggling with injuries a bit and then went on to like miss a lot of the season. If he can recreate that kind of the form he showed this time last year, you know, you think back to that Wolves game. Was it the first game of the season? The Wolves
it was.
One of the first games of the season, where he was just like unbelievable in that game. And it's interesting because you hear a lot of fans, like, obviously working for like TalkSport as I do, loads of football fans. The talk to me is always like, Brighton are going to get relegated this season. You know, Matoma's you know, washed. He's not the same as he was. You just don't have a clue. Like, you see in that game yesterday, he was back to his best. And one of the things that I've been, and this is so critical of Matoma, so I think sometimes he's a little bit like, so good at dribbling, so good at beating a man, but maybe doesn't always have that end product in terms of like getting that goal or getting that assist. That's maybe a little bit harsh, but we saw that again yesterday, like getting into the box, getting into those right spaces, getting on the end of things. Another thing that you guys were talking about with our attacks through like Minter and Matoma is like, we get so many bodies forward as well when we attack. Like with that goal as well, with the Minter cross into Matoma, we had like 4 bodies in the box by the end of it. Like, if it wasn't Matoma, it might have been someone else if it had bounced out. Like, the attack's looking so bright, like, it's so good. We were almost playing kind of like counter-attacking football because they were kind of putting all the pressure on us for that first 20 minutes. So we were just using Minter and Matoma as that outlet, and his ability to just like run past defenders, get in behind, it was so good. He's going to be unbelievable this season. He's going to be absolutely unbelievable. And he was like, you know, he was so good.
He looked so good in that first half. Generally looks like he could be a world-class player very, very soon, which is big words, but he does. He just He looks so quick. I don't know if it's Everton defenders were really slow, probably a little bit of that as well, but like when Matoma picked up the ball from defence, which was incredible, drove through like 2 players, cut straight through them so easily, so quickly, and the ball to Minter, yeah, he just looked rapid, looked so quick, and what a ball.
Chloe, you mentioned the goal. So Matoma starts to move in our own half, drives through the middle of the pitch, which I've been really missing, seeing Matoma pick the ball up and drive at defences. Welbeck finds Minter, who drives at the box with some speed, Dagan, and delivers the ball on a plate for Matoma to smash us 1-0 ahead. What did you make of the goal, Dagan?
Right. Picturesque, perfect, textbook, all the things, right? I mean, that's what you want from your wingers. As you said, Joe was put on a plate, and Matoma's where he needs to be, and he finishes. I mean, that looks like what you would teach kids to do in practice, right? Cross the ball, get it to the far post, be on the far post, ready, punch it in. Right? It's just simple. It's not simple. It's really hard to do, but they made it look easy. And I think we're going to feel that way about our wingers this year, is they're going to make the game look a lot easier for us to score goals. And when things open up in transition, the ball carrying and the pace at our disposal with so many different guys, right? You looked at our team last year and you thought, okay, if we stop Matoma, if we take him away, if we double him, Brighton really struggles to create, especially without Saleh opposite. Now, like, if you double anywhere, you're creating gaps and holes that we will fill not only with one guy, but with overloads in the middle. That Young was going to start, and knowing that he was going to start on the right matchup against Matoma, that was going to be a problem. It was a problem on paper, and it was a problem on the pitch. He was outmatched, and that was going to be another goal-scoring opportunity. Yeah, I mean, that was the least surprising thing, right? If we had one advantage that was clear, it was that one. And, I think we went to it appropriately and took advantage of it. Matoma looked absolutely electric. There aren't many players like him when he's fit. And what a luxury to have him carrying the ball and going forward. And, there's certain athletes, you hear it in the crowd, and it comes through on TV. I can't imagine what it's like, Chloe, but even at an away match, when he got the ball, you could hear the crowd sort of, here it was an ominous, almost a gasp, like, oh no, it's happening. Because you're scared something breathtaking is going to happen. And often it does. And it was nice to feel that again, because you can forget over time what a guy's capable of or what that sound is like. But he's a special player. I feel like we're lucky to have him. And all of Japan loves the Seagulls because of Kaoru Matoma. So.
Incredible. Dagan, also you mentioned a picture of Kaoru Matoma that looked like he'd been hitting the gym. So do you think we're going to see a little bit of a new Kaoru Matoma this season with a bit of muscle?
Well, I mean, he looks like he's bouncing off guys a little bit more. I mean, I know he did get drugged to the ground from behind, but he looks a little stouter. I saw it was one of the training pictures, and just caught it from a side angle, and he's just a little jacked. It was like, I don't remember seeing that before. And I think I saw somebody else mention something to the same effect about the same picture. Guys go to the offseason and they decide this is what I need to do to get to the next level. And we certainly know of him, right? If you write a dissertation on dribbling because you're trying to perfect your game, you're probably not going to stop there. And those are the kind of players you want in your club. They're models to younger guys about how to get better, how to improve, how to get better every summer. So, on one level, we think at his age, maybe he's peaked, but if he's going to get stronger and maintain his quickness, we may see a couple more years of the peak of Matoma between now and 30. And he's a fairly late developing player, so that trajectory may be even better at this life stage.
Very true. Dagan, you mentioned that the noise of the crowd when Kaoru Matoma or an exciting player picks up the ball, and you can sort of hear it from the crowd. Chloe, you can probably vouch me on this one. When, let's say Matoma, for example, at the Amex, gets the ball, if you're not already on your feet, everybody stands up and you hear everybody's seat in unison flat back onto the back panel. That is one of the best sounds ever, because you just know that there's something possibly that's really exciting. So in the stadium, was it so good to have that feeling back of, Minter's got the ball, Matoma's got the ball, like that excitement building up?
Yeah, I mean, every time Matoma was driving forward, you thought, yeah, we could get the ball in the back of the net again. And it was very positive atmosphere in the ground. Well, in the away end anyway.
It's gone. Oh dear. Chloe, who would be your player of the match?
Yeah, I would agree. Any of those three are a fair shout. Personally, I would just lean towards Matoma. But then he had an extra half of football to make an impact on Minte. So, but yeah, I think he created a lot of good chances. I think he did so well with his goal from winning that ball in the box, bursting up the field, and great finish too. So yeah, I would give it to Matoma.
Him and Matoma, and then we'll talk about this for the later couple of goals, in particular Danny Welbeck's one when Minte had been replaced by Dingra. The threat that those wingers bring, the Everton fullbacks were terrified, which is why Danny Welbeck on the second goal was able to just waltz down the middle for 10 minutes and just then calmly slot into the corner, because the defenders were just pushing out to the back, like, please don't pass it to those guys, please, please, please. And I'd say the first goal, even though the second and third goal had those similarities that we've talked about with this sort of Hurzeler style of play, I don't think the first was all that different, because instead of centrally just going and then taking the shot centrally, they chose to pass to the winger. But Matoma ran and ran and ran down the middle, and because we had all the other players pushed out to the left and the right, that was what gave him all that space, and we just chose to then put the ball out to the right, and Minte would then cross it in. So it's like, pick your poison at that point for the defence.
The one that I've seen complained about by Everton fans on pretty much every piece of social media you can find, I've seen more of them thinking that it wasn't a red card than it was a penalty. Which is absolutely, well, like, genuinely, I've seen that a lot more. Like, a lot of them are, I can understand why that penalty was overturned, but that red card was soft. I've never seen a more obvious last man challenge ever.
Yeah.
If you, like,
100%.
Are we all in agreement? Like, we're not.
Yeah, I mean, it's
not
like
Homer's.
No.
Matoma's gone past him. Right, that's not up for debate. Matoma's got goal side of it, he's off. There is no universe where a 38-year-old or a 39-year-old Ashley Young is catching Matoma. That's also not up for debate. There is no other covering defender. That's also not up for debate. And he's basically pulled the shirt off his back, which is also not up for debate. So those four things all together, if you've got a bingo card of these are the criteria for a last man red card, there's nothing else you're adding. Like, I cannot, taking the blue and white glasses off and looking at this objectively as possible, I cannot see any mitigating factors.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Oh, I've got nothing else to say. Yeah, it was a red card.
I don't know. He sort of pulls at him sort of slightly, and then Matoma goes down. I don't want to say soft, because no, it is. That's the thing. That's what I was going to go on to say. It is the rules of the game. You can't take someone out when they're one-on-one, when they're about to go through one-on-one. So I completely get why it was a red card, but it felt a little bit soft, like a smidge, not totally. But it was a justified red card. Let's be frank.
I kind of get what you mean, in the sense that, like, there were, like, obviously that was on the left hand side where Matoma was, and like there were probably a couple of centre backs who maybe could have come over as well.
Yeah,
could have defended the moment. But I think when you do watch it back, like, a few times, he's kind of through. He's basically through. Like, anyone would say he's through.
That's the thing.
And it's a denial of a goal scoring, at least opportunity to score a goal. Like, whether he would have scored it, whether someone would have come across. It's one of those, like, you can't really argue with it once the refs give it.
No, exactly. And also, I suppose that sort of just killed the game, right? Like, I think I was at 2-0, and they pretty much just